Hello and welcome to the Quackcast. This is Ozone Ocean with Baines and Tantz. Hello, people.
Hello, people.
Hello, people.
Oh, there we go. That's all of us. That's all the people. Okay. Hello. Okay, so in this particular Quackcast, our little group, where are we? We're on 776. That's this particular Quackcast, I believe. And so we will be talking about separating the art from the artist again, because there's some problems in between creators and all this kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to be talking about. What was your thing? So because Gunwallace did this topic about Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, who had died just the other day, which is a big shame. And he had been a bit of a divisive figure, especially in his later life. And Tantz, you also bring up what was it called again? The Hive or something?
Hiveworks.
Hiveworks. Yeah, Hiveworks, which had a problem with creators, and because these creators wanted all this money and all this stuff, and these benevolent producers weren't giving it to because the creators were needy, and no. The story is the creators were all good, but the the producers were being a bit dicks, and yeah, so that was the thing. I was just making a joke about it. So we'll get into that. But first up, we have Quai going to tell us about the featured comic, which was Penny Dreary. Quai, tell us about Penny Dreary.
Hello, this is Quai, and the feature I've selected for this week is Penny Dreary by Kaya Yama, and it is rated E for everyone. Moldau discovers a four-leaf clover while digging for lindworms in a meadow, and is so proud to show it to Penny. Whoops! Moldau clumsily tramples over a talking cursed pumpkin named Abercrombie, who has not had an easy month. Before being trampled by Moldau, Mr. Pumpkin was chased by wolves and almost made into a soup. Penny does not care when Mr. Abercrombie Pumpkin goes flying through the air. The art is black and white, drawn in a sketchbook style with hatching used for shading, hand-lettered fonts for sound effects. Enjoy Mr. Pumpkin's favorite literature, such as The Stupendous Mr. Top Hat, and read Penny Dreary by Kaya Yama, rated E.
That was Quai with Penny Dreary, which is a fantastic little comic that she featured, and she was thank you very much for that, Quai. Okay, so now Gunwallace's music for the week. Gunwallace hasn't been able to do a new theme for the week, so we'll have another best of. We have many to show, so Gunwallace's theme this week is Dragons in Civilized Lands.
Ooh, right. Another intriguing title.
Yeah. Civilized Lands. Okay, so this music is compelling, foreboding, panoramic. An epic landscape is slowly revealed below as you swoop on down through the grey clouds. The view spreads wider and wider. Cold mountains rear vast stretches of ice fields, patchwork fields, and a huge carpet of forest. Past the occasional fort on a high hill, we narrow in on a clash between two brightly armoured hordes. Bright crimson flecks the shiny armour, brightly coloured pennants wave in the wind, horses snort, men shout and scream. All fades to black.
Nice.
Take it away, Dragons in Civilized Lands by Gunwallace. And that was the featured music for this week. Now we could go through with the Quackcast. Okay, so Gunwallace had an interesting topic this week. He was posted about the comic artist Scott Adams, who was the creator behind Dilbert, which was very popular in the I don't know, the 90s. It might have been started out in the late 80s. I'm not sure. I enjoyed it myself. I used to love it. It was in the newspaper. Of course, they did books and things. And there was even a short-lived TV series, an animated one, starring many fine comedians, including Kathy Griffin, I think, and all kinds of people. It was awesome. Still love that, the animated series, and I wish it had continued. I think the theme was done by Danny Elfman as well.
Oh.
Gold-plated kind of pedigree. Really cool. But yeah, he did this comic strip based around a character called Dilbert, who was a fat, overweight fellow who was basically an engineer and worked in an office with a bunch of other engineers. And he had a very bad boss and a dog who was very manipulative and wanted to mess up his life. It was rather interesting. But Scott Adams himself went way off the rails, basically. I mean, people say that he went way off the rails back, forever ago. He was always off the rails, and I've seen many videos about that. But I really noticed it myself when it was the whole Trump-Hillary election. Basically, I was reading his blog back then, and he seemed like pretty left-wing and pretty, like environmentally conscious about things and very aware of, the issues in the world. And then Bernie Sanders wasn't picked to be elected to run for the Democratic Party in the States. And he was very disillusioned about that. And initially, because he was still left-wing, he sort of he reluctantly transferred his support to Hillary, and then he got more and more disillusioned with her. And I suppose a lot of people had been disillusioned with her because, she was like wife of a previous president, which is like, has that nepotistic kind of royal electing a king, queen kind of feel when you have that kind of thing. So that was a big detraction. But then he started to mention things about Trump and go, perhaps, Trump's ridiculous in this. He's totally ridiculous, but maybe he has some clever ideas in his way of promoting himself, and maybe he's not quite as dumb as we think. Maybe he's like got a subtle genius in the way he promotes himself and stuff like that. So he went from that kind of weird, slight admiration to his methods, then eventually started becoming a con, and then totally becoming a to what Trump said. Scott Adams became a bit more nuttier and nuttier as he just got more behind Trump. And that's not to say, I mean, obviously, we on the Quackcast are not fans. We're not Americans, so we're not behind any American political party. And I'm not commenting on supporters of Trump generally. I'm just commenting on Scott Adams and what seemed to happen to him. He just went really nutty and started believing in conspiracy theories, and everyone was against him. And that was evidenced in that whole when he just started going behind Trump. Like supporting him. That was just a part of a symptom of his wider nuttiness. He was going nutty in all sorts of ways, and it was not just because he was going for Trump. I'm not saying like, oh, you're a nut if you go for Trump. What I mean is that coincided with his nuttiness. Okay, I'm not trying to alienate people because he started going to all kinds of other nutty things, and he just got worse and worse and worse. And I'm someone who prides myself on separating the art from the artist when I can. I really try and do that. So when someone says, oh, this artist was a terrible, like this horrible abuser, like whatever, and I say, yeah, okay, that's bad. That person's awful, but I'm not going to put that onto the art. I'm going to try and separate that and try and enjoy that separately. I really do try and do that. I can still watch The Cosby Show, for example, or whatever, but I can still listen to the Mamas and Papas, even though that
what happened to them?
Well, one of the musicians had a relationship with his daughter, so it was pretty horrible.
Wow.
Yes, it was very, very horrible. But yeah, so I separate that from that. But in this case, I stopped following Dilbert as my daily breakfast comfort webcomic that I had been following for a long time, and because he was producing that, day to day, and by looking at that, it was giving him kind of financial support, contributing to that, and also I just didn't feel it after reading all his bullshit, his crap, and his weirdness, and his accusing people of all kinds of things. So I just couldn't be behind that anymore. So yes, unfortunately, I could not separate the art from the artist anymore, and since then I haven't really enjoyed Dilbert at all. I'd probably watch the animation again, but I wouldn't go back to reading the comic anymore, just because of that what he became, and it's a real shame. But yes, that's the art and the artist. That can be tricky. Sorry, Tantz, you were going to say something? I heard this deep indrawn breath.
Yeah, you said correctly. I was about to say something. First of all, it's harder to separate art from artist when the art is specifically designed to project views of the artist, like a satire or a humorous comic about daily life, or what have you, because it will very easily reflect the artist's views. So if your views don't agree, it's hard to just keep reading. So there's that. And also this chronicling of what happened to this guy reminds me of a similar cartoonist that we have here, had at least, that had the exact same trajectory. And so his name was Arkas, and I'll find on Google and link you to some of his designs. So he was a staple political slash satire cartoonist throughout the 90s and 2000s on the left side. And he has created some books that are considered top tier from, that Greece has to show in terms of political cartooning. And then the memorandum happened, and he started spiraling into this divisive thinking between shall we pick the leftist that might not be as left as I want, or the right wing bleep hole. And he went for the bleep hole.
Oh, wow.
Fully, to the point that now he has moved even further right than that. And he posts really like a far-right neo-Nazi nationalist stuff about whatever, like identity politics, or gender theory, or feminists are against us, that sort of thing.
Really?
Weird things. And he has a staunch following of neo-Nazis now, and nobody else can enjoy even his past stuff. That was really, really fun and witty, to the point that there is this theory floating that the actual artist that we have never seen his face, we don't know who he is exactly, that he died and someone picked up the name and is just cranking out stuff, because even his art style changed.
Has changed.
Yeah, I mean, it is reminiscent of the older style, but it's not the same. It's like someone is sort of tracing over his stuff a little bit. Like it feels a little bit, or copying the stuff without it coming from, from his own thing.
Dread Pirate Roberts.
Sort of, yeah. It's weird that we have a Dilbert type guy over here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a comic. Weirdly, like, comic artists often succumb to strangeness. I don't know, maybe this is just everybody, but I think it probably is. Everybody can succumb to strangeness, but I think with comic artists, because comic creators, I should say, because you're like a one-man band, you're a one-man media producer, it's more obvious. So it's not that it happens more with comic artists, it's just that it's way more noticeable. Because, like, if you're an actor, you can become a right-wing nut job or a left-wing whatever. You can become, a political ideologue, but because you're part of a cast, it's often not as obvious. But yeah, when you're a one-man band, like a comic creator, then it can show up more. Like, famously, there's, I think Playmail commented on Gunwallace's post about Scott Adams that the famous comic artist Neil Adams, who was behind Batman, I think. I mean, not behind, but he did famous Batman comics and everything. Do you know Neil Adams' band?
Huge. Yeah, he's a huge comic book artist. Batman and X-Men and others. He's a huge name. Yeah.
And he was became a weird conspiracy theorist. He just promoted these really strange, massively promoted, and not just oh yeah, I do this and I also, am this in my spare time. He was massive conspiracy theorist about things, and he had this idea about the hollow earth theory, and his idea was that the earth was completely hollow inside, and all petrochemicals and stuff like that were being created in the center of the earth, and the earth was expanding and all this stuff. And it's I know, the scientists don't know, the geologists are all idiots, I know. And he wrote a whole, books about, I don't know, things about it and treatises about it. And yeah, he was, had some strange ideas. Although...
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. I don't read any of his comic stuff, but I would read his comic stuff. That wouldn't bother me about his, Hollow Earth stuff. One, it's not political, so I don't know what his political views were. So yeah, that's not an issue. But two, it doesn't hurt anything. Yeah, not like Scott Adams' craziness. I think the weird thing, the really sad thing about Scott Adams, he had stage 4 colon cancer, I think it was, and his immediate go-to was using ivermectin to treat it, because the idiots, the morons, started going on about ivermectin with COVID, saying it was some miracle drug, and of course it's not. It's for worms, you idiots, you morons. It's not for it's for parasites. It's not for that. And all disease isn't created by parasites. You bloody fools. And yeah, so Scott Adams was treating his cancer with an anti-worming drug.
Oh.
And other, weird things that these idiots promote, and that contributed to him dying. Yeah, I mean, stage 4 is pretty hard to recover from, but at least he might have had a year or a couple of years or something. But no. But so when he tried, proper therapies, it was too late. Oh well.
Yeah.
Not good. But yeah, that is a thing, that these nut jobs who go for these kind of super right wing ideas or whatever, also go for these crazy made up health things as well. So, and that sort of, from my beliefs, I'm totally against any of this alternative made up health stuff. So that again turns my views against him, so it would make me less likely to enjoy what he's created. Because alternative health stuff, especially when it gets to that level, is actively harmful and kills people. So that's really against my views. Very bad. So, I mean, what are some other creators you guys have come across that have rather negative connotations to them?
Thing is interesting because going away from comics, I can remember back in the day doing certain comics. I was a big comic book fan, and especially of certain writers and artists. and and then I'd read some of their comments in letters pages. Like people would write letters, and old comics, maybe new ones too, have letters pages in the back. So readers would write in, and then these guys would answer. This is before blogs were everywhere and stuff. And I would often see these guys talking to fans. I'm like, wow, these artists are kind of mean. They're angry. They can't handle criticism. Um, if the reader is jerky, which happens plenty, or sends an unfair criticism, these guys would come back super harsh. It's like, whoa, this whole thing is a little bit off-putting. And then later they would have blogs, and it's like, well, these guys are kind of nutty, which artists can be kind of nutty. I'm okay with that personally. And then another early example is Piers Anthony, who I used to read same time as a young teenager. I liked his Incarnations books and the Xanth books, the early ones. And then he would do these long author notes at the end. And it was like, well, this guy is like boring. He's arrogant. Kind of a jerk. You know?
Oh yeah. He was. I would read those too, like because I'd love those Xanth books. Oh my god, that was so cool. And yeah, you'd read his author notes, and you think, yeah, perhaps he shouldn't write author notes in the books. Perhaps he should just not do that.
I remember one author note where he actually talks about that, and he says his publishers don't like the author notes. They're boring and offensive. But he had to do it. Again, pre-blog. This is serving a human need, maybe, before that existed.
You know, that got to the stage, like, he was going, yeah, my publishers tell me this and they tell me that, and yeah, like, they're good for, like, spelling errors and grammar, but, you know, they really shouldn't tell me what to have, you know, plot-wise and all this kind of stuff. I'm really fed up with these publishers. And he kept on sort of writing about how he's fed up, and then eventually he said, look, I'm at the stage now where I'm powerful enough that I don't need anyone telling me what. I don't need editors, so I'm just doing this without editing. My books are now not going to have any editors. I'm going to give these to a spell checker that I pay, and that's it. That's all you get.
Oh.
Wow, how did that work?
Yeah, it did affect quality quite a bit, but I still liked his ideas. Like, I would read his books and I would think, you're a wanker, Piers. You're a real wanker. But I'd still enjoy his just silliness.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But he was an arrogant wanker in so many ways.
Yeah.
At least that's how he came off in the author notes. Maybe he's a total sweetie. He probably is sometimes.
He can't be still alive, can he?
I think. I don't know. Yeah.
Because I read in his like biography book that he was basically he remembered the Spanish Civil War. Like, he was around then.
Okay.
He is alive. He's 91. Bless him.
Wow. Oh my god. All right. Well, respect to you, Piers. You've lasted.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Amazing.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, he was like, he grew up as a child and he experienced the Spanish Civil War because he was around at that time with his parents, of course, because he was a little tiny kid. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. He was writing how the rivers ran white because they disposed all the condensed milk and stuff like that from the dairies into the rivers, and he had all these interesting stories about how it affected daily life. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, that's a bit of an aside.
Yeah.
Whoa! All right, so
let's look at the other side just for a moment. Like people who in life and in like public figures, like artists who smooth out their rough edges and they keep it all secret and they pretend to be nice and normal. Is that better necessarily?
Well, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're going to be an obnoxious blip, don't let me know about it. Just let me enjoy your art. And
Say, I agree. Tantz, you said it so well.
Mm.
and for the
Excellent.
love of God, don't commit any crimes that I get to know about.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
don't
that's
commit crimes
yeah.
that you do to yourself, you know? Yeah, that's okay.
That's it. Sorry, Baines, what were you going to say?
I agree with that. Yeah, and there's obviously a difference too between like a sharp, like certain sharp edges to a personality, and people who confront a little bit and who are more honest, and then people who actually really do horrible things or commit crimes. It's kind of two different things. But yeah, I like separation too. I don't want to know about it mostly.
Yeah.
It's funny that. Yeah, I don't want to know about their private lives and get a window on that. I think everyone's... It's not just that you're entitled to privacy. I just don't want to know about
Yeah.
the private life of a creator.
And honestly, I do think that creators and also actors and singers and what have you are entitled to privacy. We shouldn't. It is basically condoned harassment to harp on them and follow their private lives and opine on whatever choices they make in their private lives or whatever they want to do, or who they get to marry or who they don't get to marry, or who is the guilty party in
Breakup.
breakup or whatever. Like, it's none of your freaking business. They just leave these people alone, and it has absolutely no bearing on their work, like this kind of private life. The one thing that, yeah, I would like to know is if they have something like, um, if they are an offender that is a threat to children, for example. Yeah, I would like to know that. Um,
Yeah,
that sort of thing. But beyond that, I don't care if they have parking tickets. I don't care if they shoplifted when they were a kid. I don't care if they did pot. I don't care. Yeah, seriously. And nobody should be privy to that kind of info for any person except the people that are in their immediate lives, and that's that. So, yeah.
Speaking of that threat to children thing, what's come out now on social media is people like comment on saying, oh, this 37-year-old actor went out with a 21-year-old. Oh my god, that's a bit creepy. Look at the age difference. Oh my god. Or this 50-year-old went out with this 25. Look at the age. Oh, that's a bit... I reckon they met like 5 years before, and that's grooming. He groomed her, and then they went out and thinking, oh my god. You're taking the whole, like child offense thing, and you're like stretching it in order to apply it to everybody in reality. Like, just don't. This is not a correct thing. Just
Mm.
when
what?
it actually does involve children, then it's a bad thing. But don't apply it in that kind of way, or else the whole world's going to be guilty of stuff. It's not.
Yeah. Well, I would say I would draw a specific line to that. Because if, for example, they met when the person was a minor and they were like 15 or 16 or 12 or whatever, and they have been extremely close in a mentor relationship or whatever, and then suddenly when they are legal, they become an item, yeah, then yes, I would say that some grooming might have taken place. And I wouldn't like to see that. However, if, for example, they meet when they are both adults and they have this gigantic age difference between them, it's again none of my business. I can't draw conclusions from that, but it's my opinion, doesn't matter. They are both legal, they can do whatever they like. You see what I mean? But the difference
I just
between
yeah.
I know. I just wouldn't get into it. Yeah, I wouldn't expand it too much. It's a topic that I just would. It just annoys me, and I want to avoid it in all.
Yeah, what I mean is it's on a case by case basis, and again, on the in the end, it is something for the person that was a minor to sort out, assuming that something illegal took place. But yeah, beyond the whole, oh, this person was basically controlling this other minor, and then now they are controlling them in more ways. And if that can be proven, beyond that, it's none of anyone's business in my. So.
The only real issue to me is power differentials. If someone's
Exactly.
able to intimidate someone to do something, or use their influence, then it's an issue, and that is irrelevant of age. In the end, it can happen in any situation.
Yeah,
So, that can be an issue.
Hence, the whole case by case basis, and again, there has to be a very specific, concrete, objective line that we do not get into other people's business unless there is some serious basis that something criminal has taken place, and that's that, period. So.
Well, yes, but, okay, so getting off that particular area, which is nasty. Are there any other creators who have been on this stage? Or, yeah, okay, so we did...
So many.
Sorry?
So
many.
Yeah.
Many.
They keep popping up. Like,
I mean,
yeah,
it's not just the ones who've done bad stuff. I mean, so Tantz, you made the point, like, we should not get into people's business when they're not doing anything illegal. But there has been, in the modern age, this thing called the influencer has started up, and which is people who make money just being like a self-made kind of celebrity on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. But that happened a bit before, when you had these celebrities who, okay, so they're a celebrity because they're famous for doing music or famous for acting or whatever, but then they started just marketing their celebrity. So, and that happened before the influencer thing. So these were the original influencers. I mean, obviously that has always happened. There's been people who did that in the distant past. Lola Montez is a famous example. In the 19th century, she was famous for being famous, and everybody knew her, and she went to different countries and toured around and was just a celebrity in her own right. But in the modern day, we've had a few celebrities who started out as being, like, say, Lenny Kravitz. I loved his singing when he started out in the early 89 or something like that, 88, 89. Or 1990, whatever. I loved his music. But he became one of these celebrities, So his daughters are doing all these kind of movies and all this kind of stuff, and he takes these celebrity shots of himself, just looking incredibly handsome with his muscled chest or whatever, and they're obviously he's had professional photography pretending to do these candid shots of him just walking around in a farm or something. And that's just an example of many of these people who became famous for whatever, and then they're just marketing their celebrity. And that makes me not like them anymore, because but I would still listen to Lenny Kravitz's music, but I wouldn't be interested in him as a person at all because of that.
Yeah, exactly the same for me. And I want to, since you brought up this issue, if you have an influencer or a celebrity or what have you that puts their laundry out, their dirty laundry out for the world to see, and invites people to give their opinions on this dirty laundry, then that's different. You are inviting the world to look at your private moments and to sound off on these private moments, and that's on you. Like, if you publicize your private life for profit or for influencing or for what have you, especially, for example, if you are projecting a false narrative about your private life and then someone else comes and debunks it and says like, this is all a load of, blip. And the reality is that this is what's happening. Then that's on you. You have publicized you don't have a private life anymore because you have made the choice to publicize it. I do believe this. Like, you cannot then appeal and say, "Oh, respect my privacy." What privacy? You literally told us about, what you do in bed. I don't know, whatever. Or you told us how you discipline your kids, and now you are getting, the negative feedback that you didn't expect, and now you are appealing to, stay out of my private business that I uh, projected to you and invited you to give me praise for, and now you're not giving me praise for that. So, buzz off. That is disingenuous in my opinion.
Yeah, I say there's another case. Like I really like the podcast Smartless, and on Smartless you have Jason Bateman, and a couple of other people who I can't remember their names at the moment. That the deep voiced guy from Will Arnett, and Scott something or other. Very entertaining people. But in that, they interview celebrities, and they also have the banter, and they talk about what they're actually doing in their own lives. And in doing that, it gives you a window into their life. But it's not a false window. It's just a window into their own lives, the particular things that they choose to reveal to you. So obviously they're not telling you all about their own lives, but they're not giving you an idealized window into, a false narrative.
Yeah.
And it just humanizes them as people.
Yeah. That's a good thing, I think. Optional, but if you choose to do that, sure. Like, and I'm going to say something out of my personal experience, because I have had my 15 minutes of fame in this, and there was a time that I was extremely recognizable due to all my activism during in the 2010s. So we are, in my family, were by nature very, very private people, and the particulars of very private lives remain private. But there were some things that we had to publicize in order to show that we were leading by example in certain things. And there was a very cut barrier, and not because people were, trying to find out about other things, like, for example, oh, do you have a boyfriend and stuff? And it's like, why are you interested in whether I have a boyfriend or not, or whether I am into marriage or not? This is not what we are here for. And people learn to respect, is what I'm saying. If you consistently say, okay, this is off limits and this is information that I choose not to give you, they will mostly respect it, unless there is something else that drives the whole thing of, oh, let's dig into this person's life and profit out of it, like paparazzi are doing or whatever. So yeah, you can't. Go on.
I remember you and your mum had that. You were doing political commentary, and you had a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Video of you guys.
Yeah, there is, and there's still a lot of video of us around floating on the internet. We went on I mean, there was a time where we went frequently on national TV and did the panels of the political discussions and stuff. And there were interviews, even like the BBC came over and interviewed us and stuff like that.
Wow, that's incredible.
Um, and so we did get fame and still people, I mean, on occasion people still recognize us out on the street. But what I'm saying is that you develop, there is a culture that can be molded into what you publicize about your private life and your views and what you've done. Like, for example, we, like my mom and I, are vegetarians. We don't eat meat out of ideological reasons. And we never made this an issue or, projected, oh, here we are, we are the vegetarians here, that sort of thing. Because, first of all, that was not the political problem. And second of all, it was a private choice. And we had respect for others that didn't make this choice, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't put it forward, people are generally not going to try to find it to comment on it. So
Exactly, yeah. So there's a balance between public and private life. But yeah, when it comes to separating the art for the artist, this is something that needs more discussion.
it does. To bring it closer to home, do you think that you would be able to separate me from my art? Or do you think you can be separated from your art, or Baines from his?
That is a great question. Never even thought about it. Yeah.
It's true because we know each other really well, so it's really unfair of us to answer.
It is unfair.
I think I can. When I look at one of your pages, I take it in as a piece of art, as part of a story. But it is weird because then you're probably commenting on the page or giving some kind of feedback or whatever. So it's a blurry kind of line. But I kind of think like when I'm reading a page, at least in those moments, I'm like, I don't think, oh, this represents what Tantz really is or something, or what Oz really is. I don't think I think that way.
Yeah.
I'm taking it in as a story and as artwork.
Yeah, me too. I'll be honest. So.
Like I think I can separate it, and I think I can be separated by other people. I don't think. I don't know. I can't really judge.
I have had people close to. I'm sorry to dominate here, just for one more moment.
Okay.
I've had people close to me look at stuff I've written, stuff I've drawn, and get upset, thinking that's what I'm really like. Oh, that's what you think, and getting angry. This is particularly sensitive relatives, even though I'm not talking about them. So I do have people. So I don't tell anyone I write comics anymore.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I didn't. The only time I can remember that I got like a bit of that was in the very beginnings of Without Moonlight, where I was called out about my politics by people. But that's the only time I remember that happening ever. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I can separate Baines easily because I knew your art long before I knew your politics. And that's not to say that your art is incompatible. It absolutely is. But it's maybe I don't know, the nature of your art, the comedic side to it, or the subject matter, and that is, I think, starting to change a little bit with Kaiju Valentine. I'll be binge posting comments soon. But I think I could separate you from your art. Now, Oz, I'm not so sure I could.
Oh,
Oh dear.
Because it's like I hear your voice, especially in certain scenes or when certain jokes are cracked in the comics, um,
Oh.
and it feels like I can hear you chuckling at this thing. It's like
Wow. So my personality is less hidden in my work.
I don't know. This is me, right? That's by no means anything objective. And again, it might not be fair because I know you both very well. So
mhm.
Interesting. Wow, that's a good point of view. That's really kind of interesting point of view. On this subject, I was watching. I wasn't watching, but I saw a thing about Conan the Barbarian, like a YouTube like essay on it, and and there were various people making comments under it, and the points of view of the characters. People were commenting on that, and in them they were sort of commenting on, Conan in the beginning says, well, he's asked what is good in life, and he recites this thing, to hear the lamentation of the women, to see your enemies driven before you, all that kind of stuff. And later on, he talks to Thulsa Doom, and Thulsa Doom is the bad guy, and Thulsa Doom says, life is all about the flesh, the strength of flesh to force people into doing what you want. This my ability to command people. That's the true power in life. That's it. And in the end, Conan kind of learned that no, it's his own will is the thing to rely on. His own strength and his command of himself sort of beats everything, beats magic, beats gods, beats humans, beats steel, everything. It's all down to his will. And I can sort of think, as looking at the creators, here is like a John Milius, the creator, was a bit of a libertarian, a bit of a militaristic guy, a bit right wing, and he would be thinking very much of the Nietzsche kind of thing, like triumph of the will, Übermensch and all that kind of thing, relating that to Conan. But is that really is Conan's point of view in that film? Is that really John Milius's point of view? For me, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. That's the character, and that fits with the character. So it's relevant what John Milius thinks, and earlier on, see the lamentation of the women. It doesn't matter if any of the actors think that. That's the character expressing that view, and that's interesting from the point of view of that fake world. So, to me, that's an excellent example of separating the artist from the art.
and when we come to that, I think that there is a certain skill to be able to offer your audience the chance to separate you from your art. Because if you create a work that comes across as very preachy, right? Like if it gets on a soapbox and tries to teach you stuff in ways like not organically through what the characters are going through, how they develop, what choices they make, that makes sense, and it would be like watching people act and react in life. But rather, let's pause this plot and explain that here, kids, this is what you should believe from what is happening. That's like a human PSA at the end of the cartoon. That sort of thing. Uh, if that happens, then it is far harder to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically what you were saying about my work, when my work becomes a mouthpiece, then it's...
No, what I said is I know. I didn't say that it was a mouthpiece. I said that exactly what you would find funny in this particular scene, or little Easter eggs that you have hidden here and there in your ridiculously detailed backgrounds and stuff. So that's what I'm saying. I am not saying that you preach at all, and you don't. So.
Oh.
I did. There is one story recently though, where Pinky spends a lot of time complaining about Google Meet. That
Yeah, I have to rethink that one. I have to go back and do some revisions.
I'm like,
on that.
they have that in this world? Didn't know.
Oh well, we better wrap up now. We're sort of coming to the end of our allotting casting time. So thank you very much for listening to Quackcast number
Thank you.
776.
Thank you. Oh wait, one more thing. I know that sometimes I can't separate myself from my art when I rest my arm on a wet page of ink. Very frustrating.
Yeah.
Very, very. You're indelibly connected to your artwork.
Absolutely.
Especially when it smudges on your arm.
Oh, the word exactly. Yeah.
The artist
It
is
rubs
the
off
art.
on you. Your art rubs off on you.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Quackcast 776. I've been Ocean, you've been Baines, and everyone is Tantz.
Everyone is done. Big fans.